All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the sheer, ridiculous absurdity and the surprisingly deep metaphors of martial magic and muscles. We're zeroing in entirely on the pivotal scenes from its very first episode, and specifically our deadpan main character, Mash Burn Dead. We're going to break down exactly how this opening episode sets up a, frankly, protein-induced parody of the entire fantasy genre, while somehow simultaneously delivering a really sharp critique of societal hierarchies. So if you love a good subversion of those classic traditional tropes, you are definitely in the right place. Let's get to it. Right off the bat, the first episode hooks us with this incredibly dark moral dilemma. Just imagine a world where your actual value as a human being isn't based on your character or your work ethic or how kind you are, but entirely on a genetic lottery. It asks a really uncomfortable question. What if human rights depended strictly on your magical ability? In this fantasy setting, the government strictly enforces a system where magic is everything. Literally everything. Superior magic equals ultimate authority. And if you don't have it, well, you're just deemed entirely unworthy of basic human rights. It's a brutal, society-wide disregard for anything outside of magical talent. So, how exactly does this world categorize people? Well, it's a super strict, stratified caste system, and your social standing is actually tattooed right on your face. The political power you hold is dictated by these distinctive facial markings. At the top, you got the triple liners. These are the absolute elite rulers with godlike summoning powers. Then double liners, who are the exceptional upper class. Most folks are single liners with just average magic. But here is the kicker. Look at the very bottom of the social ladder. There's a tiny portion of the population born with absolutely zero magic. They're called lack magics, and in this deeply oppressive system, lack magics face constant persecution. They are hunted simply for existing because the government wants to cull them to keep humanity as purely magical as possible. And that brings us to our main anomaly, Mash Burn Dead. When we first meet him in episode 1, he's this totally stoic teenager rocking a bowl cut and a permanently deadpan expression. And yep, you guessed it, he is a lack of magic. Zero magical potential whatsoever. To save him from the government's death penalty, his adoptive father, Regru, raised him in total secrecy deep out in the woods. Because Mash exists completely outside of this oppressive social contract, he's had to figure out his own, unique way of interacting with the world. And his solution? He just casually bench presses 4.6 tons. Literally. Since he lacks even a single drop of magic, Mash survives using what he very seriously calls muscle magic. And how do you acquire muscle magic? Through the most ridiculous, over-the-top daily workout routine imaginable. While everyone else in this world is memorizing spell books and practicing wand waving, Mash is just out in the forest bench pressing those 4.6 tons, doing an infinite number of side crunches, and just chugging protein shakes. He treats his physical body like a precision instrument to bridge the massive gap between human strength and magical superiority. Oh, and the absolute best part, he's actually named his muscles, Kevin, Tom, and Mike. He relies on Kevin, Tom, and Mike the exact same way a wizard would rely on a divine magical summon. It's incredible. But, despite the genuinely serious stakes of government persecution, the show leans so heavily into deadpan humor. It completely subverts its own darkness. There's this one moment that perfectly captures the vibe, coming straight from the episode's narrator. They just flatly state, "This is the magic realm. It is called the magic realm because it is a realm with magic." I mean, it's so incredibly blunt and painfully obvious that it acts like a massive comedic record scratch. It's basically telling us, the viewers, right out of the gate, yes, the themes of discrimination are real, but guys, we are absolutely not taking this fantasy world building too seriously. So how does Mash's peaceful, secret life fall apart? Well, it's all shattered over a pastry, no joke. Mash sneaks into town to buy his absolute favorite food in the world, cream puffs. But because his face doesn't have a magic mark, the townspeople immediately panic. This draws the attention of a corrupt magical pop named Brad, who tracks Mash back home and attacks his father, Rigo. But here is the major turning point of the episode. Mash effortlessly overpowers Brad's high-level magic with pure, unadulterated muscle force. He's swatting dangerous spells away like they're annoying mosquitoes. Faced with a kid who can literally punch through magic, Brad is terrified and offers a deal. He'll leave Mash's family alone, but only if Mash enrolls at Easton Magic Academy and earns the title of Divine Visionary, which is, of course, the absolute pinnacle of the magical elite. Now, a magic school premise is obviously super familiar. But when you compare Mash to your standard Chosen One protagonist, you really see how this story acts as a protein-induced parody of the genre. Think about it. Your typical fantasy hero has this grand, epic destiny to defeat the ultimate evil and save the universe, right? But Mash's ultimate goal is literally just to live peacefully in the woods with his gramps and eat cream puffs. That's the whole shebang. He couldn't care less about saving the world or battling a dark lord. He's just powering his way through this mandated quest so he can get back to his quiet life and his favorite dessert. The show just shamelessly reimagines these iconic fantasy elements, taking these dark themes of systemic oppression and wrapping them up in this highly entertaining comedic package. Instead of Hogwarts, we're at Easton Magic Academy. Instead of Dumbledore, we've got Headmaster Wahlberg. Instead of a sorting hat, Easton literally uses a sorting unicorn skeleton. And instead of Quidditch, they play a broom-flying sport called Duello. And since Mash has zero magic to actually make his broom fly, he just kicks his legs incredibly fast in the air to hover. It's completely absurd. The show wears its inspirations right on its sleeve, so you immediately understand the rules of the world, mainly so you can watch Mash physically break every single one of them. And speaking of breaking the rules, we have to talk about Mash's survival strategy at this school. To survive in this elitist academy without being immediately executed for being a lack magic, Mash literally just paints a fake lightning bolt scar on his face. He just Sharpies it right on there to blend in. It completely leans into the absurdity of his situation while directly and hilariously parodying a certain very famous boy wizard. That hastily painted mark is literally the only thing standing between him and a society that wants him dead, and it perfectly encapsulates the show's brilliant blend of life-or-death stakes and absolute ridiculousness. But believe it or not, there's actually a much deeper layer to all this comedy. In a world completely obsessed with bloodlines, magical power levels, and top-down discrimination, Mash's fixation on cream puffs is a form of absurdist resistance. It's not just a funny running gag. He carries a cream puff in his coat, he protects it during life-threatening battles, he even offers it to his enemies. It serves as an anchor against the toxic, elitist values of the magic realm. Conceptually, the cream puff is the ultimate anti-magic weapon, simply because it can't be quantified by mana levels or facial lines. It represents pure, simple passion in a world that is overly complicated by arbitrary status. Which brings us to the real core of Episode 1, leaving us with a pretty provocative final thought. Does true power come from the discriminatory systems we're born into, or is it the strength we build ourselves? Mashal uses deadpan comedy and giant muscles to challenge some deeply ingrained biases. It's asking us to appreciate people for their unique, individual abilities, whether that's casting high-level magic or just bench-pressing 4.6 tons, rather than judging them by arbitrary societal expectations. And honestly, that is exactly what makes Mashal's weird, muscle-bound journey through this magical academy so incredibly captivating to follow.